All right. Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. It was cold outside, but it was hot up in this boy.
Yes, in here, Jack.
Man, knew it was hot when I didn't see Carvey over there in his hoodie. Because Harvey called you Harvey. Carvey be wrapped up. But it was cold. That's all right. This is Wisconsin, man. I'm going to take the cold because I don't want the snow because I don't want to deal with the snow. So I'll take the cold. Yup. All right. 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Good morning, Carvey again. Good morning, Jermaine.
Yes, sir. Good morning, there, sir.
What's happening?
Hey, man, dealing with this cold, man.
What do you mean dealing with it?
Man, you got to put Vaseline, chapstick, everything on.
I was driving in, and you're right. And I was driving in, and I thought, and I don't know what you call it. You know, we'll start off with another. You know, if it's a blessing, if it's good fortune, you know, just the way things fall. But I thought that one of the things that I'm so appreciative of is that when I walk out, even on the coldest day, my car starts.
Yeah.
Thank you, Creator.
You're right.
Because there was a time when, man, we were putting heat, trying to keep the gas lines from freezing up, and people used to run those what would be like the extension cord out the house to keep the battery warm. You know, you had, man, and my mama had a Chevette. Seemed like anything under freezing, it ain't gonna start, man. So now with fuel injection and the batteries are as strong as they are, and what do they call it, cold start capacity, it makes a real big difference. So I celebrate the fact that my car starts. Now when I go out here, watch, it won't start. Go right out. Man, I was watching, I didn't watch it when it first came out. Hands of Stone, Robert De Niro. It's about Roberto Duran and his story. And what I was really, I was looking at this dude going, who played Sugar Ray Leonard, like, man, that dude looked like Usher. It was Usher. So it was Usher Raymond, and then is it Journey Smollett?
Is it?
Yeah, his sister.
Oh.
She played Juanita. You know, Juanita Leonard. That was and man, you can look at it and look like Usher knew what he was doing when he was doing the boxing choreography. And he had the whole. He looked like Sugar. He looked like Sugar Ray, and everybody. I remember when Roberto Duran beat Sugar Ray Leonard in 1980 in Montreal. Sugar Ray had just come off. I think that was the '76 Olympics, where you know, that was an incredible boxing class though, because I'm thinking the Spinks brothers was on that team. This kid, Seals, Sugar Ray Leonard, that was probably one of the best boxing teams that the U.S. sent to the Olympics, and everybody know Sugar Ray. The rest is history. But what kind of really I had a frame of reference was my wife and I. We've gone to Panama, and so when they were showing the scenes from Panama. And to see, Panama is an interesting country. Panama used to be part of Colombia, and I don't know how it ended up becoming seated. And then when America went in to build the Panama Canal, you had what was called the U.S. zone, and it was in I want to say 77, 79, when Jimmy Carter. That's one of the things he's either famous for, depending where you are, infamous for, is that he gave the Panama Canal back to Panama. And the American influence in Panama, even years after that, because America then pulled out its military, it's, You can go and see some of the old U.S. installations there. Some of them the Panamanian government took over. Others they let go to see. We went out to see the original, one of the tours we went on to see the original Panama Canal. And you had to go through this old U.S. Army base. The roads were awful because obviously there's nobody there. And then they take us to this inlet, and we had lunch. And this inlet, and then the guy pointed out, he said pirates would come through. Did you know Captain Morgan is a real pirate?
I didn't know that.
He is real. That Captain Morgan, you see, Captain Morgan is really real. Just, it's a beautiful country, man. What we didn't do, I think it's called the Friendship Bridge, where you go over. I think when we go back, because I want to go back, we'll go up into the mountains. We really didn't go up into the mountains. But it was just beautiful. We were our condominium was right on the inlet, so we could see the ships coming in, or see the ships, they're waiting to come in. And it's real interesting what they do, because you heard, I don't know if anybody heard, the incoming president has talked about taking back the Panama Canal. And what he was talking about is how much it costs for ships to go through the Panama Canal. It's like $1 million a ship.
Wow.
They make incredible money. And to get the ships through the canal, you have to have a Panamanian who will then, what do they call it? I think like captain, will get it through the locks in the canal. You go and see how the canal works, man. It's amazing. It's just amazing. You just engineering and what they're able to do, and how you come from above sea level, because that's where it is when you start into the canal, and then by the time you get back, you're below sea level, right? Because they built the locks and they just kind of get you down subtly where they do water. It's an engineering marvel when you get a chance to see Panama. And I had the best fried chicken wings I ever had in my whole life. Oh my God, the food was so good. We had Colombian food. And then the thing that I love about Panama is that there is an African presence there. When the original Spanish settlers came, they brought enslaved Africans. When they built the canal, they went to the Caribbean to find Africans from the Caribbean to come work. And to hear people, our driver was an indigenous guy, and to kind of hear him talk about his own folks, and then talk about the Africans. And then there's a place, I want to say, is it De Leon, where descendants of Africans live. It's one of the poorest parts of Panama, but it's fascinating. And then we went to this museum called the Panorama. And what it is you go in and it gives you the whole ecological history of Panama, to the point that you walk in and there's this room, and underneath it looks like an ocean, and you see all the species of fish that are there in Panama. Oh man, it was incredible. It was just incredible. And incoming president is correct. When we were there, that's been close to almost 10 years ago. When we were there, the Chinese had built this huge civic center, and they were building an airport. So the Chinese influence there is great. I know they were, and I don't know if they ever did it, but they were talking about creating a place where cruise ships could come in and people can disembark. I have to go and check to see if in fact they're still able, if they did that, because when the tide goes out, all you see is just like the bottom of whatever that is. I don't know if that's the Caribbean. It's a fascinating country. The people there are just like you would get in the Caribbean, where they're indigenous folks and people of African descent. Just this beautiful mosaic of colors of folks there. Ronaldo, what's his name? Ronaldo Blackman,
the soccer player,
basketball player.
Oh, he played for the Mavericks.
Yeah, he's Panamanian.
Oh,
yeah. I had a coworker who was Panamanian, and these folks look like you and I. But again, it was the migration, people going from primarily Jamaica to go work on the Panama Canal. And people know the original when they went in. First time trying to build the canal, it was they couldn't deal with the rainforest. They had issues with malaria, and so they kind of stopped. And then they went back and they rebuilt it. So it's like we really enjoyed that trip. I think the other place we went to was Puerto Rico in the Caribbean. But man, it's just fascinating history. When Rhonda and I we flew in, we get off the plane, but we went in May, so it's still warm. But we saw all these people with coats on. Like, where are you going? Because it was hot. And they were going to Colombia. So we were the only two people that went through customs when we got off that plane. Oh, wow. Everybody else was getting on the plane to go to Colombia, go to Peru. So it's fascinating. So I love traveling when I decide I'm going to travel. But man, Panama is just a beautiful country. I mean, see the mountains. What a great trip. And we would get up in the morning and have coffee and listen. I could listen to Community Voice because we had TuneIn.
Wow.
And as long as you had Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But, our driver told us this, never take a cab.
Why is that?
We found out why not.
Oh, because they steal from you?
No. We went to these ruins. It's like one of the original settlements in Panama. And so we stayed on a little island. And so you cross back into Panama City and you go up, right? Dude charges $50.
For a cab ride?
For a cab ride, right. Now you think, I could argue. I mean, he gave us the cab ride. We should ask, we should do a better job of speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
And then, so we took an Uber back, $8.
Oh, you made $42 profit.
Oh man, they see foreigners coming, man. And but our driver told us because he was charging us $50 every time we took a trip. So yeah, I mean he was cool, man. I mean we got there, he took us to the grocery store so we could buy stuff.
$50?
Yeah, we picked us up at the airport. Picked us up again when we wanted to when we went back to the airport. But he took us to the grocery store. The interesting thing was we got there on a Sunday. And they were having a national election. So you don't sell any liquor on National Election Day, right? So you go in and you saw the police tape up in the liquor part of you can't get liquor at the restaurants.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why is that?
On Election Day, they want people to show up to vote.
They don't want you drunk.
Right. And they did it on a Sunday. And that's the whole piece why we even do elections on Tuesday. Because if you there are a lot of countries where Election Day is a national holiday, like people are not working on that day and trying to get you to the polls. America is so hypocritical because America will sit up and say, we're a democracy, and they do all they can, certainly people in power, to prevent people from voting, right? So for participation, and then you have the piece where people will they just get cynical. Look, we had a little bit less than 60% of the population who bothered to vote in the last election. I'm talking about eligible voters. Yeah. So we have a significant number of people who don't vote. And then you get a situation where posters, you have your whole little schematic and who you're going to target. But there's groups out there who've never participated. So then they're not part of that universe that you're going in to poll. And this is what happened. It happened twice for Trump. It happened in 2016 where there were people who had not voted before came out and voted for him. And it happened again in 2020, plus the level of suppression that you had. And he was able to make inroads into groups because this was such a margin election. I just heard this dude talking about that he won. What did he say? He won in a landslide. He had the lowest percentage of a popular vote in terms of a person who won. Hillary Clinton did better than him, and she lost. So This dude is so delusional. It's just amazing to me how, he says it. And then I guess after a while, we just deal with a certain level of fatigue and we go, oh, that's just Trump being Trump. But man.
Yeah, it just seems like he has mastered oversaturating people with lies, and after a while, they tend to just believe it and run with it.
Well, we're not going to, and I'm going to say this for me too, that, sometimes I can be intellectually lazy. The fact that on Meta, Facebook, they will no longer fact check.
Yeah, that tripped me out.
But then how much responsibility do I have to check to make sure that what it is I'm getting ready to run with is in fact is?
See, but this is the problem with that, Keith. You can have somebody actually telling the truth, and you can have people that don't want to hear the truth. They now comment on it and put their spin on it, and which then now have you looking at the truth like it's a lie.
Oh yeah, that was the whole premise that George Orwell was doing in 1984, where he would say that where lies would become the truth and truth would become lies, and that is to support the people in power. There's something called bread and circus back during the time of the Roman Empire. What would happen is you would have a Circus Maximus. So you see the Colosseum and the poor folks would show up and the rich folks would throw them bread, and then they got a chance to watch the gladiators perform. And what they were saying was the folks were still poor, but for a moment you give them this kind of diversion. I said this when I was listening to folks. I said, for some folks, false hope is better than no hope. And so we we will see. This dude though is just wow. This dude,
It's unbelievable.
it's believable.
Yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, I guess.
Because I think, and then I'm becoming I don't know what the word is to kind of describe how I'm feeling about this, where it is obvious we're going backwards.
Yeah, purposely.
Yeah, I mean, I think, um, and so now I'm really hypersensitive to what I see as instances of white supremacy and white privilege. Um, what we saw it when people would want to go in and change history and or to sanitize it in such a way to make us believe that there was no evil in enslavement when in fact it was, and to put myths out there like the reason why certain portions of the African American community is not um, succeeding in society is because of some kind of genetic defect. It has, and so in people's mind, it has nothing to do with the systemic racism that we have, the systemic, and women. I'm. It's it's amazing, man. You have white women who support Donald Trump, and Donald Trump, when you look at it, the violence that he has perpetrated primarily on white women, and how somehow that's okay. It's not. But if that's your thing, this is how you rock, then go and rock. You do you. But man, the cognitive dissonance that people have, where you believe the lie.
Right.
You believe the lie. It was like, for even the people who were part of January 6th, and they want to talk about, well, some of these people were just trespassing. Yeah, they were trespassing with evil intent. I mean, and then there's this sense that some people are above the law. Now, I have to believe in justice and justice denied, delayed is not necessarily justice denied. Uh, but for people to come out and we talk about law and order, where the leader of your party has broken so many laws, have been convicted of breaking laws, and then just to show you how narcissistic this dude is. Okay, you're not going to jail. You're not getting community service. If Keith had been convicted of 34 felonies,
Yeah,
I'm gonna do some time.
you're gonna do sometime.
I'm gonna do some time. And then this dude is like, he feels put upon because of something he obviously did. So anyway, there's my frustration. I'm not quite on the couch,
Yeah.
but
I mean, you have every right to be frustrated because I'm looking at it like okay, you can't even have one felony to even get a good bank job or a good job on the regular level, but let alone to hold the highest position in the country. They allow this guy to have 34 felonies, not 34 counts against him that he hasn't been charged for it. But these is something
he is now a convicted felon.
he's convicted.
Yeah, I mean, he's been sentenced.
But
So the case has been adjudicated. I understand he's going to appeal, but
and what really tripped me out is early in this whole thing, how he said black people can relate to him going to jail, and his mug shot. So you got T-shirts, and black people can relate to my shoes. So you put out shoes and with different colors because you want the blacks, blacks as he say, black.
that wasn't true,
huh?
That wasn't true.
No, well, Keith, I can't stand you.
Damn, I thought, I was down with him. Oh man, dude got a mugshot. I was down with
Man.
that. Gives him some cred, right?
Yeah. Hey, well, in reality,
But here's the difference between it stopped with the mugshot for you.
yeah,
For the rest of us,
so we gotta do time.
we're gonna do some time.
And after that, you have guys that has with the prison or jail that run into other people that is with the prison and jail, and they share the same stories, and though you kind of build a bond. Like, hey man, I was at Walpon, and oh, I was in Walpon too. Oh man, what's up?
And that's why I ain't tripping on Jesse Smollett. Good for you, man.
Yeah,
you were able to beat it.
Yeah,
but some other people didn't beat it on the humbug. Hey, good for you.
Yeah,
you listen to Community Voice. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back.
The passing of a loved one is emotional enough without adding the stress of funeral arrangements. By pre-planning, you receive the desires of your heart while taking away the burden from your family. It also saves you money, providing the dignity and respect your memory deserves. And there are times when life ends unexpectedly. Please know that the New Pitts Mortuary is here to lend a helping, caring hand anytime, day or night. We are the New Pitts Mortuary.
Welcome back to Community Voice. Let me get the caller, and then we're going to get inside Be Healthy, Be You. Caller, welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning. Let's keep it 100. Donald Trump's mother is an immigrant. His daddy was an immigrant that fled from Germany. And while he was in Germany, he was telling everybody the family was from Sweden and Scotland. His grandmammy was an immigrant. His grandpappy was an immigrant and could not speak a lick of English. He is a product of immigrants. His daddy was a draft dodger, just like his son. His brother died of alcoholism because he was a drunk that could not cope with life. The whole family is a product of failures. But people choose to vote for them because they are dumber than a bag of bricks, dumber than a bag of a condom that was used. They're dumb, just like the people who voted for him. Furthermore, majority of his products is made in Sweden and China. That is not American. And the people who was produced who said have kids was made in test tubes. That's not the American way. That's test tube babies. Now ask some Republicans to call in and challenge that. And it's disrespectful for him to be a draft dodger when some of y'all relatives is suffering from war and PTSD. And none of that is American. He is a product of drunks and failures. And tell these black people who want to vote for him, they black asses is just as dumb as that toilet that they didn't flush when they did number 2 and didn't wash their hands.
Okay.
Have a good Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Wow.
A lot of unpack there.
Wow. What happened? Wow. Hey, man, I don't know if Al had Folgers in his cup this morning, but brother, I'm gonna bring you some Folgers because that's the best part of waking up when you can get Folgers in your cup. Folgers, Jack.
We're inside Be Healthy, Be You with Miss Julia Means and
Good
Miss
morning.
Brenda Buchanan.
Good morning.
And then happy belated birthday to Brenda.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, man, you only get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a year. I had a buddy boy. Whew. I don't know how we survived his birthday month. Man, we had I'd be like, man, what day are we on for your birthday? I mean, birthdays. It's always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's wow, winter baby.
Yes, winter baby. My son was a winter baby.
Yeah, you had your kids. Were they? We have no winter babies.
I got summer babies.
Yeah, let's see. Let's work our way back. My mother's summer. I'm summer. My brother and sister are spring. Wow. Let's do some math on that.
Yeah, speaking of that, my brother, I used to hate it, my older brother, because he used to get 2 gifts for his birthday because his birthday fell on Christmas. So he'd get his birthday gift plus the Christmas gift. I'm still kind of jealous of it.
Any reason.
Well, there's a lot of kids that feel like they get cheated because their Christmas and birthday are right there together because they get one gift and the parents are like, well, your birthday's too close to Christmas. Or they'll say, this is your gift for both birthday and Christmas, so they don't get it. So a lot of children feel like
I think the tough part for me was having a summer birthday meant if I wanted to have a birthday party with my classmates.
Oh, yeah.
And we weren't connected, same like once you
left
left school.
Yeah, it was over.
Now you got,
Facebook.
all of Facebook and everything, you can stay connected. But when you left, especially, elementary school, junior high school, that was it, unless they lived in your neighborhood or we were at the same playground. But then you see them again, pick it up again in September.
I didn't want to see none of them anyway.
It wasn't even my neighborhood. So, I was going to a school. I was just talking to someone, though, on Sunday, and he said that he lived in a house that they tore down to build Parkland.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that they tore down. So they must have did eminent domain, tore those houses down, and created, so that would have been a whole block because that's going from Keith to Nash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure is.
Yeah, that's a whole block.
It's a beautiful building.
It was, you know what, and there's no basement.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
There's no basement at Parkman. Yeah,
You come in the basement on one side.
right.
The other side, you come up.
Yep. I remember the first day I showed up there. Now, look, I went to a little grade school. So you imagine now you're 12 years old. The seniors, not the seniors, but the ninth graders, because we still had ninth graders there, they look like adults.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so intimidated when I walked in that building. I didn't know who to speak to. Everybody gritting on you when you walk in. It was intimidating. And then to be in that space with so many kids, it was like, wow. There's a lot of kids. When we would do assemblies, they did it by class. It was so many students. And the kicker at Parkman was, though, our assemblies was like the Apollo. I mean, things that we got exposed to, like Kothi, when they first started, they performed at Parkman. So you wanted to go to assemblies, but all you had to do is have a problem in one class in your grade.
And you couldn't
the whole class doesn't go.
Oh,
Really?
that's
Right,
terrible.
right. So you had one class that was tripping, and they go, and Mr. Douglas would come on and explain that the 8th and 9th graders, they will be enjoying assembly, but the 7th graders, they'd be like, dude, so we got to suffer because those idiots down in 7, 8. And that was the other thing, how they did it. But yeah, I don't want to hear about Parkman. But Parkman was fun. I mean, Parkman was fun. It was interesting and, Afrocentric, blacker than black. Our drill team, our boys' drill team was like the Black Panther Party. They had the berets, they had the black, the combat boots. They marched with rifles. They were called the Vanguard of the People. So, that was the Parkman thing. The joke was you went to Parkman to be a militant. You went to Fulton to be an entertainer. Because Fulton has some talent. Oh, my God. They had some talent at Fulton. But anyway. So, Be Healthy, Be You. Second week in January.
A lot going on.
What's going on?
Well,
What's
a lot of people are ill.
Yes.
And if you're ill, stay home.
Most definitely.
Hospitals are filling up.
I know over the weekend there were a couple hospitals that were at capacity. So.
And thank you. I did get my flu shot, and there has been an uptick in flu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
flu and COVID have been pretty bad this year, and then add in RSV, it's really bad.
Then diarrhea.
And then you got the norovirus with the diarrhea. I mean, whole households are just gone. Are knocked out.
That's why I don't want to go on a cruise.
Why?
Oh, because of norovirus?
The norovirus. A lot of people get those intestinal viruses.
Didn't know that.
On cruises. Yeah, people. Plus the idea of just being out. It's a lot of people on a boat. And I don't know. People, you enjoy cruises?
I would love it.
Get me to where I need to get to so I can get on the beach and get all toasty on the beach. I'm not going to go in the water, but first time I went in the ocean, it was like, wow, this water is really warm.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in Puerto Rico, and the water felt as high as the temperature.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was really warm water. Really, really, really warm water.
Yeah, when I was in Mexico, it was like bath water.
It
was wonderful.
So you that's interesting. So we were talking about the viruses. I'm not an epidemiologist, but I am concerned.
I do know one.
Who?
Erica Sinclair.
Yeah, I think Daryl Davison also at the health department, his background is epidemiology, community, but let's go back. Let's start talking about the flu. And so people can be clear on the symptoms of the flu, and then we won't get it confused with the norovirus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what would be, how would you know you had the flu?
Well, really, the only way to know for sure is to be tested, because you've got COVID out there, you've got RSV. Some of those can mimic, they can have similar symptoms. So the only way to know for sure which one you have is through testing. But the biggest, these are all respiratory viruses, the flu, COVID, RSV. So they all affect the upper respiratory system, the lower, so the lungs, the throat, the nares, all of that sort of thing. So, and with all three of those, often you do have a temperature that goes along with those. You don't have to, but most people do have some sort of fever to go along with those. But the big thing is they're not like a bad cold where you just got a head cold and feel yucky. Especially flu and COVID, they can really, knock you out for weeks, where you really just don't want to get out of bed. Your whole body aches. You don't feel good. You're nauseated. Like I said, you might have a temp, but you're very, very ill when you have the flu and COVID. RSV can be the same, especially if you're older or immunocompromised or you're little children. Many of us, we can get RSV and we might be sick, but we might not be to the point where, kids and people who are compromised are. So, but like I said, my friend was in the hospital for a week and a half with RSV. She just got out this past weekend. So it can be serious.
How are we spreading flu? Because obviously it's a spread, right?
Mm-hmm.
How's it transmitted?
Droplets.
Mm-hmm.
You sneeze, you cough, you
Talk
cough in your hands, you don't wash it.
And droplets are about, when we talk, they go out about 3 feet and drop. So that's why we call them droplets. But when we talk, within 3 feet of each other, you may not see it, but you are, especially if you're laughing, coughing, sneezing, it's going out. So it's droplets. But then they can live on surfaces. So then you touch those surfaces and then you transmit it.
Though, and correct me, but COVID didn't.
Didn't what?
It wasn't necessarily on surface. Remember, we were cleaning everything, and they said the primary transmittal was through our aerosol.
Right, and that's with all of those. The primary route is that, but it can spread by direct contact. But like if you go in a hospital, let's say they might be in what we call contact isolation. So you have to put on a gown, you have to put on a mask and gloves, because it can spread out to 3 feet. And if you touch wet surfaces, for the most part, surfaces that are recently infected, you can transmit that.
One of the hospital groups here now are asking when people go in their hospitals to put on masks.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What precipitated that?
The rise in respiratory infections in the city of Milwaukee and in those individual hospitals. I think most hospitals have gone, even if they haven't publicized it, have gone back to some form of masking, even if it's just when you're caring for patients, like they're coming into the room, you're masking, but some have gotten a little bit more broad.
Like Giannis said, he had never been as sick as he was.
Mm-hmm.
It's hitting.
Well, it hit some teams.
It's hitting athletes that are, really body builders and, very conscious about their health. So, you think if it's shutting them down, what is it going to do to little old you? And you haven't did what you needed to do.
I think Damian Lillard, he
said, and they're saying, I was sick.
Oh man, mm-hmm. It's nothing like when DJ was talking about when he had the flu. I remember the time I caught the flu. Mm-hmm. It is nothing like, because your body is really working hard, trying to fight that virus, mm-hmm. and it hurts. Mm-hmm. I mean, the body aches, and we learn again. I learned so much. I'd never understood as this idea that when we get sick, our body's first reaction or response is to try to fight it. Mm-hmm. And then we found out that there were people who were immune compromised, where if the body's fighting it, but then it's taking a toll on other parts of the body.
The mm-hmm. army, their army was not strong enough.
as opposed to my soldiers.
Yeah.
Well,
I always say the white blood cells, the immune system, that's your army. And if you got a weak army, you are
soldiers
in the army. That's a real one too.
Yes.
Jermaine was on talking about a song he thought Mother had made up, and come to find out that it's a real song. They sang it at convocation.
Like I'm on the organ and the band was playing. We looking at each other like, man, she making this song up. She is making this song up, and so enough,
everybody started singing. You're like,
I couldn't believe it.
But let me tell you, he's a stand-up guy. He's a stand-up guy.
How do y'all do that when you don't have the music?
We could just hear it. So we can hear it and just know where to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it is a lot of these old
Negro
spirituals.
Oh, yeah.
that a lot of young men don't know.
Oh, I know them all.
Oh, you know what? When I'm going out and I'm guest speaking at a church, and they allow me to do benediction, and my jam is from back in the 20th century. You know, God be with you. And the musician be, what is that? No, a lot of young musicians don't know that one.
Because I'm gonna tell you why. Because a lot of these young cats, first of all, they don't start off learning hymns.
Okay.
So for me, I had a lot of seasoned like musicians like Shirley Barty and Reggie Royal and Jeffrey LaValle, like those people, just to hear how they played Valerie Daniels and how they played hymns and things like that, and just learning the hymn structure, you learn that it's really a math to it. It's a science to it. So it's numbers.
Yeah, but you need to. And now when I do it, it hit me. I did a whole thing on benediction. I used to slip out right before benediction. Yeah. And I heard this minister say, don't leave before you get your final blessing. Yeah. And, but then then did a whole thing on benediction. Yeah. And so I started when I get the opportunity to be able to do benediction, I tell people, sing that to Julia. God be with you. We're singing it to each other. Yeah. We're asking for that. And that's I always pull that classic out.
Or don't forget the family prayer. Y'all don't sing that one? Don't forget the family prayer. Da, 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 no. Jesus gonna meet you there. Da, 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 da.
And by the way, the song was Get Back Satan.
Get back, Satan, I'm running late. Get back, Satan, I'm running late.
I'm running late.
Yeah, wait, keep going.
Get back. Get back, Satan. I gotta make it to heaven before they close the gates. Get back, Satan, I'm running late. So I'm on the organ and we looking at each other laughing like, dude, she is making this song up. I know she lying about it.
And
song.
Colored people wrote it. Because colored people wrote it.
Man, I was on the organ like, mother, you may want to leave on time next time, a little bit before, because you got us over here struggling with this song.
We were having a whole conversation about reckless driving. Speeding is reckless driving, right? And this sister called in and she said, the police stopped me. He said, "What?" He said, "Well, ma'am, he said, yeah, because I'm trying to get to church." He said, "Maybe you want to slow down. You're going to go to church a little bit differently than you had planned on going. They're going to be rolling you in.
Be right in front.
Be right down front."
That was very disheartening to see the new library get wrecked.
Well, I don't think anything got damaged inside, did it? It was all outside, but still. I know it was so beautiful. That whole front part out.
I guess some people go tear up the library. You go tear something.
Well, now they're going to put in barriers, so they said it doesn't happen again.
It went all
in there.
Went all the way in. Mm-hmm. I was like, I actually had just driven past there, and we went. What happened?
Well, that's somebody that really needed to return their books.
I guess. Especially seeing it ain't late. Open yet.
They was running late.
Get back, officer. I'm running late.
I got to return this book before I get a fine.
Get a late fee. I'm still scared. Yeah, I'm still scared to go back. I know. I owe the library some money. I wonder, can I go back and get a library card?
Listen here, man. I know they got my picture right over there. Atkinson Library wanted for so many books I took out.
Breaking the off. No, it was an inside job. We had a security guard. She would go through because people leave money in their desks and stuff. Mm-hmm. And she stole my Bible.
Oh my God!
Now, in retrospect, I don't even know why I had. Yeah, but then I thought, if you're gonna steal something,
Shirley wasn't thinking.
Steal the Bible.
Steal the Bible.
That's what like Gideon's. That's when they put those Bibles in hospital rooms. And they do hospitals. They do hotels, right?
Hotel. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
if you take that, you're going to get some conviction.
I guess I stole a couple Bibles before.
You stole a Bible before?
Yeah, I needed the word to hide in my heart, so I didn't have it on me, so I took it from the hotel.
Ain't amazing what we spend our money on?
See,
I mean, spend no money on no Bible. I'm going to steal a Bible. It's just amazing what we will spend our money on.
Stealing is stealing. However, taking it from a hotel is different than taking somebody's personal Bible.
But Gideons want you to take it.
Right. That's somebody's personal Bible that.
Oh, you went to a hotel?
I went to a hotel and took it right out the drawer.
Because
it was the red Bibles, it's the red ones with the gold. I still remember it because I just looked at it in my cabinet the other day when I was cleaning. Like, wait a minute, I got a black Bible that I bought, but where did this red?
Well, I don't know how I got this one Bible, and I don't know how I got it. It was a good one though, and it had the person's name in it.
Man, I'm doing great.
But they've gone on to glory, so I guess they don't have a problem with me. How much does we were talking about? We talked about this at the beginning, in mid-November, when we talk about SAD, right, and the seasonal adjustment disorder. Mm-hmm. But you know what? As cold as it is, we've had a lot of sun. Do you think that has an impact?
Well, if you're out in it.
Right.
I mean, you need to absorb that vitamin D, and the perception of sun obviously is a lot better than when it's real gloomy, but to get the effects of the vitamin D, you got to be out in there. So, and when we're out
what about
in the winter,
overall mood?
Overall mood. Well, yeah, I'd much rather see this than, a gloomy, yucky day. It definitely is affect how I feel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And cold.
Yeah.
I you know what? I like, especially when the wind is not blowing. And just kind of being out at night in the cold.
Oh yeah.
Again, if the wind is not blowing,
nice,
if the hawk is out there, then that. But just being out, being able to appreciate that. Mm-hmm. I know there are a lot of people who move different places because they just don't want to deal with the cold. But it feels good. I mean, it's.
I like the 4 seasons.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, I mean, it's something about it, especially as you get away from the city. And then you can see more stars at night. We don't see a lot of stars in the city because of the city lights.
But you can like it because you have a home, you got coats, you got heat at your house. Yeah. But if you are
Julia,
you feel all guilty. I'm sorry.
You ain't a car that
starts. I heard it this morning.
So yeah, you can enjoy it.
Oh, you can enjoy it. But think about all of those people
who got to stay out in it.
My God. I will never enjoy standing out in the cold again. Thank you, Julia, for this.
I had a guy that came to church, and I said he was homeless, and he had been staying in his truck, and I'm trying to call our emergency things to get him, and in Milwaukee, you're supposed to go through 211, and 211 will get you into a shelter or whatever. But If you go to Rescue Mission, Joy House, Salvation Army, you can go around 211. But 211 is Milwaukee's local. And
because it knows what shelters have open beds.
Yeah, they got
all that.
Report to him. He told me that I didn't know what I was talking about. I ain't never. Have you ever been homeless? so I'm just doing to you what he did to me.
She couldn't take it no more.
She had to take it out on somebody, Keith.
Oh, you got a house, Keith.
What about me, man? What about me?
I was just talking about enjoying the stars. And maybe got a little fire pit going. That's all done.
Yeah.
Never mind. Okay, call welcome to the program.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Chief, I lied already in the first of the year. I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, man, because I said I was never going to listen to the other radio station. But since Michelle is off and your other, I guess I'm just a junkie for talk radio. So here's my question. You guys are still talking about the flu and stuff, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? How old should kids get flu shots?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Starting at 6 months old.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for this year was the first year we ever gave it to children.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the pediatrician will add that in to their vaccinations.
Now, I was kind of like you, Keith.
Mm-hmm.
I got the flu 1 year, Keith. I thought I was going to. Matter of fact, they wouldn't even let me out of the hospital until they what's the thing? Potassium levels I never even heard of before.
Yes.
You were really dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me that I probably was in danger of having a heart attack, so they wouldn't release me until they told me I got to start eating bananas and potatoes and drink more orange juice and stuff like that. But that was the worst feeling of my life when I had that.
Yeah.
I couldn't even eat chicken noodle soup.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was.
And for both of you, we often have people say, "Nah, I ain't getting the flu shot. I don't get it. I've had the flu before," but they haven't. Because people who have truly had the flu are lining up to get their flu shot. They get a really bad cold and they think that's the flu. But if you've had real, true influenza, you never want to feel like that again.
And I've taken the shot ever since. I've never missed the year when I don't get the shot anymore.
George, you asked that question about how young, and it was really interesting during COVID how my godkids' parents got her the flu shot, but they wouldn't give her the COVID shot. But they definitely gave her.
And that's where I'm going with this. When I was listening to the other radio station, how there was this one guy that were kind of beating up, saying Dr. Fauci lied about distancing and masking. None of that stuff works, and it irritates me so much to think that people are still walking around calling it the pandemic and all this kind of stuff, and all the people that died. So I'm going to ask you a question. When we were wearing masks, the flu was down, correct?
Oh, the numbers were negligible. Yeah.
They were low.
They were very, they were very, very low.
I think the only person in the country got it was DJ.
And so do you think that we probably need to go back to masking? And they were also saying that Dr. Fauci lied about social distancing, that stuff didn't work. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Well, I got you on tune in, so I'm gonna stay on the phone until you answer, because I don't know how far ahead I am with this tune in, but that really irritated me yesterday that so many people died and people are still walking around saying this foolishness, and like I said, if you get, like you said, doctor, once you get the flu, you never want. And I have a friend, he will not take the COVID shot. He done had it like 4 times, and this time, from my understanding, I haven't talked to him personally, but it came back through me that he was really hurting real bad this time, and I don't know what we got to do to get people to understand. Oh, they were saying that it was made up because Johnson & Johnson and all of them. So look back and see who's making the money, and that's where it started from.
Keith, you said something very profound, and and our caller was talking about how the flu was down during COVID, because a lot of people who would never in the past.
Oh, I can hear you on tune in, so I'm gonna hang up so somebody else can get in.
Who would never in the past get a flu shot, got a flu shot during the COVID season. That they got it. They got the flu shot, but they wouldn't get the COVID vaccine.
Mhm.
They'll say, well, I'm not going to get the COVID vaccine, but I'll get the flu shot. So we had thousands of people who never had a flu shot before got a flu shot.
Mhm.
And the flu was down.
Yeah. And and you add in the social distancing, the masking. We had, like, we do our free flu shots every year. When we open, we have people trickling in during that year before when COVID started, before the vaccine came out. And, people didn't know what COVID was versus flu. We would open our doors and we'd have a line of 40, 50 people already waiting to get their flu shot because they were so terrified. But I went for 2 years with all the masking and social distancing, never even having a sniffle. And I attest to that being the fact that we were wearing masks and we were social distancing. Once we started not wearing those, then I got a cold, But I believe very much in masking and vaccinations.
But then they tell us that the masks we were wearing were not effective.
Right. Well, and with masks, everybody's got to wear, the person that ill is the one that really needs the mask more, because that's stopping them from producing the aerosol that is being shared with other people.
I think that, let's talk about the fog of a pandemic. We were doing a whole lot of stuff in real time. There were a lot of unknowns.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing about flu is that at that point we did have treatments for flu.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were still trying to figure out how to treat.
Well, we definitely did not know how to treat COVID,
and then how to prevent the spread. And then some of the things and I don't know if this is the case with a lot of these airborne viruses that we spread to each other. There is a period where you are contagious,
but not sick yet. Maybe not sick yet.
Not sick yet. You begin to get the symptoms. I think they'll go into fever.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you're not, am I correct? You're not
well, no, you can, even after a fever, you could still be transmitting depending on the virus, how much you're, because you can get the fever under control with lots of things. And so you might still be infectious. As long as you're putting out, nasty green stuff, you're coughing, you might still be infectious for a period of time.
But I could still have the virus in me and then be no longer contagious.
Oh,
right?
Sure. And you can have the virus and not be sick and still be contagious.
Just shedding it.
You might be shedding the virus, but you yourself, because your immune system for whatever contain that, but you still can spread it to other
like
people. Yep, shedding like a snake.
That's funny.
Well, one of the things that was, again, talking about epidemiology, community health, they test the water.
Oh, and the water levels for COVID are really high.
And that doctor he said two things that just caught my attention. He said, I don't believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
He said, but the speed that we got the COVID vaccine is nothing short of a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then he pointed out, he said 90% of Americans will be infected with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I heard that, I'm thinking like, we're doing worst case scenario. But the water
is telling
us
mm-hmm.
that there were a lot of people walking around, had the virus
mm-hmm.
and then we found out, for example, you don't have to necessarily give kids COVID shots
mm-hmm.
because their ability to fight it is so much greater unless they have some immune
mm-hmm.
compromised situations in their life. So we learned a lot of this. So when they're going on Fauci about, we had to go on what we know.
And the man's incredibly intelligent and has a history of, some people just love conspiracy theory.
But why isn't that surrounding the flu shot?
Oh.
No. I mean,
well, I think part of it is because the flu shot has been around so long.
Okay.
And now with COVID coming along, we've got social media, we've got access to everything. People just fuel each other. I'm sure when the flu shot first came out, there was probably people that refused to get it.
I got sick.
That's right. But now the flu shot's been around for so long, but you still see that because there's plenty of people that refuse to take it. I'm not putting that in my body.
Yeah, but the propaganda around the COVID vaccine,
mm-hmm.
It is a certain level of trust we have to have
in healthcare.
And that's a that gets us into all these discussions we have around faith and fact, but the certain level of trust that we have. And part of what gives me a certain level of trust is that when there's data out there to support it. And then anecdotally, we saw that, I'm not aware of it, that there was not this negative reaction in terms of our bodies to the COVID vaccine. So, but we had to experience that.
And, when they first came out with the COVID vaccine, the type of vaccine it was caused a lot of conspiracy stuff because you couldn't have come up with a vaccine that quick. Well, it was different technology. It wasn't like with the flu shot and like old vaccines, they're produced in eggs and it takes a long time to produce these vaccines, whereas this was like very quick. Now, when you look at the flu vaccine and you look at the amount of people they tested it on was very small in comparison to how many thousands and thousands of people that the COVID vaccine was tested on. But people find what they want to hang on to. And so a lot of people with Moderna and not Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, they didn't want to take that vaccine because of the technology. They waited for the Johnson one because it was a different, older type of technology.
But the most effective one was
Pfizer. Exactly. But again, people are like, oh, they couldn't have done that so fast. That technology is new. That technology was not new. We have been using that technology, but then when we had that available to quickly develop a vaccine, and people didn't trust that system either.
And I think the way you communicate things, look, Fauci, his history goes back to sounding the alarm on HIV and pushing towards, and it's real interesting because now HIV is no longer a death sentence. But the politics around HIV in the 80s made it very difficult to have all hands on deck, because when we got to COVID, it was all hands on deck.
It was.
I mean, this is, so even then when we go in and we have these biases in who is more deserving of treatment and the judgment of how you contract the disease. I think you want to know in the medical how I got it, because it's probably a link.
Something you did wrong, or it could be. I mean,
it's connected to someone else. How many other people that I think that's why you're asking the question so much more than, oh, you're just the worst person on the planet. Because even when people were getting COVID early on, it was like leprosy.
It was. Oh, what did you do? You must have been outside. You must have not followed rules. But with HIV, of course, it all changed when Ryan White got HIV. This young white boy, child got it, and then that changed everything. But at the same time, all of a sudden, they started throwing money at it.
But before that, he had to change schools.
Oh, he was, yes.
I mean, because our ignorance and how. And I think that in America, because we so sexualize things, that anytime sex is attached to it, we shut it down. It's going into a whole different thing, as opposed to looking at it as a biological process. A biological function is what we're doing is biological, and how you can, it's like, let me get it right, the human papilloma. HPV. How many people walking around with that?
Well, they think almost 100% of people have it at some point in their life.
Have that virus. So I think how we view the problem, it is, if I can't, I don't know, you're right. The Ryan White thing was so crazy. And then let's get back to Mike Pence, who as governor of Indiana had the worst outbreak of HIV in his state because he refused to let them do the needle exchange program.
And people, that became very political because, well, you're just giving them shots to, it wasn't that we wanted to give everybody clean needles so they continue to shoot up. It was to control the infection, to keep people from, and you still see a lot of controversy around needle exchanges. Even today, people still push back against that.
Yeah, but now we have the availability of Narcan. I don't know I think cocaine was a little bit different how you would deal with it, but how the people look, and I think Brenda, you hit it on the head. We see little Ryan White. Oh, we got a problem. Arthur Ashe. We have a problem, right? Sylvester. Oh, he dressed in drag. He's having sex with men. You know, I mean it. But he got sick, and let me just be Jesus for just a moment. Jesus never asked how you got what you got. As a matter of fact, when people wanted to know when he healed the blind person, what did his parents do? Because they were talking about the sins of the father. And he said, no, basically people get sick. People are blind, you know, and we do it with so much judgment a lot of times. It gets in the way. And then if it's not me or someone who looks like me, then, oh, that's their problem.
I got a story to tell. Okay.
Wrote a song about it. Here you go.
I was in nursing school, and you know, I did my nursing in chops and blocks, and so I was in nursing school. Night before, I was going to clinical, where we go and do our thing. The instructor called me and told me to watch this program, and it was a program about AIDS. And so what she was telling me was, I'm getting an AIDS patient tomorrow. And so I prayed and cried and prayed and cried, because that was the first AIDS patient I had to take care of. So I went in. It was in a hospital, not none of ours. I went in, and it was a Black man. And he reached his hand out to me, and he said, will you help me? And that just, all my fears went away. First thing he told me was, I'm not gay. I got this because I was a truck driver, and I would visit prostitutes up and down this. He told me way too much. Anyway, I started taking care of him. A lot
of truck drivers are having same-sex sex at these truck stops, right?
Oh, well, he denied it. Okay.
Was he a Black man?
He was a Black man.
My friend said there's no such thing as a gay Black man.
Yeah, he denied it. But the thing was, people were bringing him food, but not getting it to him. They weren't cleaning his room. He was not getting any care that he should have been getting, because people were scared. And so when I went in and started taking care of him, all I saw was a Black man that was sick. And I was in my precaution. Then the housekeeping guy came in. He said, oh, you in there? Well, I'll come in. And so he came in and started cleaning. Little by little, everybody started coming in and doing what they were supposed to do, because people were scared. Now, what got me was we were at this hospital that did a lot of experiment, and he was getting the experiment drug, and it was in a brown paper bag, and I had to hook it up and everything. And long story short, he was discharged before I left my clinical, and his daughter came and picked him up, and she said, I'm taking my daddy home. And she had children. You know, some people would not deal with their people that had. And she said, did you teach me how to take care of my dad? But I'm taking my daddy home. And that's when you say, I love Black people. Black people will stand up. They will.
Some will.
Let
me give you a story.
Okay.
I'm watching a documentary on PBS. It was the ministry, Balm and Gilead. You know, they've done a whole lot of work around HIV and AIDS, based in Chicago. And so they were following. So there was a Black man. Now, the reason why I said my friend said this is that there's no such thing as a gay Black man, was when they would interview Black men, they couldn't ask them if they were gay, because they would deny being gay. So they had to change the question. And now you know this. The question here now is, have you had sex with another man?
Yeah, same sex.
Right. You know, and so because it's tough enough being a Black man, it's even more difficult to be a gay Black man. That needle hasn't moved much. And so, you know, he talked about, so in this case, this young man, you know, he was living a pretty crazy lifestyle. He ended up getting HIV, and it was turning into AIDS, and they had just changed it where now you're eligible for disability, Social Security. And so his mama had put him out until he got a Social Security check. And then it got real bad because once I got that little piece of it, then he tried to hug her and she
pushed back.
Heartbreaking.
A lot of, there is, we had to, because again, when I was still dealing with public assistance, we met with a group called People Living with AIDS. And I remember, and I was so disappointed because I'm hearing the conversations we had before the people even get in the room. And, I ain't gonna let him touch him. I ain't gonna get it. That's not how you get it. And so he said something that even stayed with me, even when we got with COVID. He said, if I catch a cold, I'll die. He said, you are more danger to me than I am to you.
That's true.
And because we get in, and that's the great thing about medicine. That's the great thing about things. You have to be in a judgment-free zone.
You have to be.
But it's hard because we're human beings, and
scared. We
scared and judgmental. I mean,
Yeah.
that whole I feel a little bit superior. It's like I told you a story about when I had my stroke, and my buddy go, "What were you doing?"
Yeah.
Like I was with someplace. I had a stroke, man. It now. Let's take it to a different level. We still need to listen to the doctors. We still need to listen to the doctors. You have to, because you said a lot of our illnesses, a lot of times is behavior. And again, I'm going to take that back from judgment. I'm just saying it's behavior, choices that we make. I'm not saying they're good or bad, or just choices.
And sometimes it's out of innocence because you just
lack of
didn't
knowledge.
know.
Or what you're getting from it. I mean, human beings are pleasure. We seek our own pleasure. We start with us first and then work our way out. I was telling Jay yesterday, I did children's church. I love children's church.
Aren't they?
And we did 1 Corinthians 13 chapters, so 4 through 7. And I didn't realize it when I pulled the lesson up, but you do a little checklist. And I was so impressed with how self-aware these kids were. One little kid said, "Yeah, I guess I could be a little kinder." They were talking about, and I'm going, man, if I could just acknowledge me and the stuff, because a whole lot of things we blame it on other folks, and it's us. The choices we make. I want to ask a question. How much of this is a myth? They tell you that, let's say after I take a shower.
Okay.
That's good. That you took a shower.
I guess I probably should have structured that sentence a little bit differently than I'm going with this. This idea, they said when you go out with your pores open. What can you contract with your pores open?
A cold.
No, because colds are actually spread through the mucus, through your mucous membrane.
So
your ears, your mouth, your eyes.
So you mean to tell me all of these years I've been thinking that you catch a cold because we was told you catch it through your head and your feet?
No.
Your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing like
hey, now that you say, I mean, I don't know if it was the down south.
That's if you don't wear a hat, you're going to get a cold.
Yeah,
you don't know that, but no, it's a virus that has to be spread.
So that's not true at all.
No. Now the only thing though is if, let's say, you're outside and like Julie was talking about, you don't have a hat, you don't have gloves, you don't have and it's really cold outside and you're shivering, that affects your immune system. So it may make you weaker and more likely to catch a virus that comes along because your immune system is struggling, but it's not the cause of catching the cold.
So there's no such thing as a head cold.
A head cold is when, your inflammation is all in your nose, your sinuses, but it's not because you got it from... You
didn't have a hat on.
Right.
So it's not really a head cold, it's just sinus issue.
It's in your...
We say head because the symptoms are in your head, not, your nose, your throat, your... you're sneezing, coughing.
Because I'm going to pass this on to my kids and my grandson. Like, put a hat on, boy, you get a head cold.
Well, you want to do that, just keep the heat.
Yeah.
in your body. That's where the heat is escaping a lot of times through your, through because everything else is pretty much covered.
Okay.
Now I was looking at my godson, and I know he doesn't own a hat, but let me say, and I never thought about this. He put on his hood.
Mm-hmm.
He put his hood on, but you want to. I think that's a lot of times where you watch football players a lot of times, and you see that steam coming out. So now they do the whole cover where you trying to make sure that you're not exposed.
Yeah.
I've always thought that you can catch it through your head and your feet, but y'all just pointing something out that I never knew. I've been saying this for years.
Yeah.
Well, that's shoes.
Well, that's because that's what was passed down to us.
Yeah.
That's what, and that's what they believed
Yeah.
to be the case. So they passed that
And I
along.
said this to you all last week. We'll pick it up after the break. There was a whole lot that we had to rely on faith just because we couldn't afford doctors.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk about that after the break. You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break. We're inside Be Healthy, Be You. We'll be right back.
The passing of a loved one is emotional enough without adding the stress of funeral arrangements. By pre-planning, you receive the desires of your heart while taking away the burden from your family. It also saves you money, providing the dignity and respect your memory deserves. And there are times when life ends unexpectedly. Please know that the New Pitts Mortuary is here to lend a helping, caring hand anytime, day or night. We are the New Pitts Mortuary.
questions off air.
I know. I want to say, Keith, it's funny how as nurses, we remember our first AIDS patient because, back then it was like a big, big deal. But when you said that nobody wanted to hug him, my first AIDS patient, I was doing
his mama.
Yeah, I know.
His mama.
There was something, I don't remember. Anyway, I was doing something with him that didn't require gloves. Okay. So he didn't have an open area. But so I touched him and he started crying. And I asked him, well, are you okay? Why are you crying? He was crying because he said I was the first person that had touched him. Yeah.
Without gloves.
Right. Since he was diagnosed. We don't realize the power of touch,
Oh yeah, I mean for human beings, and then you again treat it like we use the term leper.
Mm-hmm.
Yvette Flunder, Bishop Yvette Flunder. You wouldn't know her name, but you probably know she did. Thank you, Lord.
Mm-hmm.
She was with Walter Hawkins, and she opened a ministry that dealt with, because in the Bay Area, they got hit hard with AIDS, and she opened a ministry, where you were out and dealing with folks because, again, families didn't want you around. I had to still work through my anger at the church because I think the church did a lot of damage. I think just because it forced people not to get help, right? It forced them even into a darker place. And again, that's why I think it's, we say, oh, you shouldn't judge. Watching that mother do that to her son shows you the level of fear, level of ignorance. I'm talking about ignorance, not knowing.
Yeah, lack of knowledge, ignorance. Mm-hmm.
I was working on 76th Street. Again, they had changed eligibility where people who were diagnosed with HIV would be considered disabled, which means now you're eligible for Social Security benefits, Title 19, all these things, right? And there was a black male couple that came in, and so the guy was his partner because that was before people same-sex marriage, but he was the power. He had his power of attorney, medical power of attorney. He's helping them do the work. And then it showed me something about how I had to expand my sense of what love is. And we go back and forth, and I'm only doing this. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole on it because I know how people feel so strongly about it. But when I saw this man's love, we're not talking about sexual love.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about real concern.
Sure.
The person he loved is dying. It moved me to back up on a lot of things that, and now in my estimation, I believe was erroneous. It's based on human beings. Unfortunately, religion is a human enterprise. We put our humanity in it, even though it's supposed to be meta-human. It really isn't. It is really human. And so we have biases. And so whether it's biases towards same-sex relationships, whether there's certain biases we have towards women, and the idea of we still blame women for pregnancy. Quiet as it's kept. She's still blamed for pregnancy. And it gets back to, the fall of man because he was listening to a woman. Dude, you made a choice. That's like, okay, my mama said, don't do da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I go out the house, Brenda suggests that I might do something my mama say not do. Who my mama gonna be mad at? Me or Brenda?
Well, your mama probably be mad at both of y'all.
Yeah, probably not. I think about it. I can't believe you so weak-minded. You listen to that woman, and I told you. But no, I mean, we have to. But it's all that, that the Scarlet Letter was the woman.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a test tube baby.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't IVF. That was a relationship. And so I just think I'm trying to, and I know it's hard. Someone had pointed out to me that that there was a clergy brother that I really disturbed because from time to time I would refer to the creator in the feminine. Oh man, it just drives him nuts. And I'm kind of going like, well, God doesn't have a gender.
Right.
We refer to him. You know, you were asking me that question. I teach a kid about the sovereignty of God. And I'm going like, tell him that God is big, keep it moving. Because if you're trying to understand creation, good luck on it. Good luck on it. That creation is so beyond any human understanding. You know, we can't again. When I'm out and I'm just looking at the vastness, I'm in a clear space at night where I can see all those stars, and I realize I'm not seeing most of them. That's pretty vast.
Yeah,
And how
you're
huge
seeing
they are.
and how small we are in the universe.
Right, and our outsized sense of our own importance,
And
and
we're just like a dot,
not even
a dot,
not
a microscopic dot.
Right. And you know, so I'm a little bit more conscious of my carbon footprint. You know, that what we're seeing in California is a direct, kind of not direct, but directly, based on climate change. And now you're getting droughts more often. And then the other thing was they had record rain 2 years ago.
Right. And then this year, nothing.
Then nothing. And then what's going to happen now is because you burned off all of this forest, because people are going, well, why weren't you out clearing the brush? And they were saying because we hadn't had a catastrophic fire like this, so there was no real reason to go in there. Because there were people very upset. Where was the fire department? And look, it wasn't going to happen. You could have sprayed that house down, but once that fire got to a certain point, it burned down schools.
It burned down
brick and mortar.
Everything.
Yeah, I mean, so nature, and it's us who makes decisions. It's us that decide I'm gonna build up here, and everybody tell you, well, you know, you do get brush fires up here, and it's pretty hard to get in. And then with the wind blowing at 100 miles an hour, you can't even put planes up.
Right.
So the way that they're trying to fight. So, but I think a lot of times as human beings, and we make some bad decisions. I was talking to this brother who does Black Lens. And I was telling him about, I love Oppenheimer. If you haven't seen it, see it. It's a great movie. I mean, I just love it. Everything that you're supposed to do in a movie, it does. But they had a dilemma. Their fear was, because they'd never done it before, they thought the atmosphere was going to catch on fire. Right? Because they'd never done it. They didn't know how the atmosphere was going to react. And so now you have this question of this weapon that was meant for mass destruction, and human beings could go in and then abuse it. When you hear people talking about who has their finger on the button, that's real talk.
Yes.
Because you could have a crazy person who in a pick just decides. That's the thing that's so troubling about the guy who's about to be president. Like there is no concept of what's good for the world. It's only what's good for him. There's my political view. Okay, I had to ask it. Let's talk about, do you guys see a lot of frostbite?
Yes. And the ER see a ton of frostbite. And, you know, that's an injury to the skin and the tissue underneath because of the cold. You know, so and in temperatures like this, you can get frostbite really, really quickly if you don't have gloves on. The things that are the most vulnerable, obviously, the fingers, the nose, you know, the ears, things like that are easily frostbitten.
I don't know if you ever had it. Have you ever had the orange winter mustache?
Mm-mm.
You know, when you would eat oranges and then all of this.
Oh,
I don't know how that happened.
Oh,
I used to
You remember you can get
I used to see people that used to lick their lips but get that mustache after they licked their lips and it was cold outside.
Yeah, but it'd be like oranges. It'd be just I don't know if it was oranges or you're right, maybe licking their lip.
Yeah.
That little boy in A Christmas Story, the tongue on the pole.
Oh yeah.
When they dared him to
double dog dare. Yeah.
I tried that in school.
Yeah, smart.
It works.
Yeah.
Oh, it hurts. Too.
Yeah, it
I
does.
bet it hurt coming off. You lost a whole lot.
No, I didn't lose a lot because it was only there for a second. But I mean,
but if
you know,
you're on
as
there, it'll
kids,
get stuck and you can't get it off without ripping off that top layer of skin.
Or pouring hot water to loosen it up. And that's what they had to do for me when I was in elementary school.
Yeah. Well, at least they came to get you.
At least they came and got me.
I was laying out there.
Laid on the ground, tongue sucked.
Concussed, and nobody came. We're the traitors. Nobody came out and just concussed out there. Oh, laid out there in the middle player. Everybody went inside. Hey, where's Keith? I think that's him out there.
So you see his shoes in the air? That's him. He lay on the ground.
And that's me thinking I can ice skate.
But yeah, I was just going to say some of the symptoms is, you'll start to get numbness and tingling in the fingers. That's kind of an early sign that, you need to cover up. Patches of the skin, they can get red, blue. Once they start, the darker they get, the worse. If you see somebody with severe frostbite, they're black. There's no longer circulation to that area.
So when you come in, you should do what? Warm water?
No, room temperature. Okay. You don't want to. Warm water can damage the skin even further. But if it's to that point, sometimes you'll start to get severe itching. If it's not severe and it's starting to unthaw, but just room temperature water. And then of course, like things like those little warmers and things that don't get real hot. Those are helpful.
I'm wondering. I was at REI. And I didn't see hand warmers. And I'm wondering, is there something, I'll have to go back and see, maybe I'll go on the website to see, maybe I just went in the area. They're very environmentally conscious. For example, they don't you don't get bags, right? And I was wondering if it's something with the disposable, those hand warmers.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
they just get thrown everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I heard another incredible statistic. Do you know that there are more cell phones in the world than people?
Oh, I believe it. Some people got 2, 3 phones.
There are more cell phones. And the issue that they're having now is, what do you do? How do you dispose of those unused cell phones? And they were supposed to be a way that you can go in and you can deal with it, but they were just literally just dumping them in the ocean.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Or putting them in landfills. I was just wondering, That's
crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's the piece, because the way that they're designed is that you can't fix it. You can't fix it, and so I mean you could send it. I think Apple, they stand behind their product. You send it to Apple, but they were talking about things like batteries and things like that. You're not allowed. You can't. So what they're doing is they're doing design obsolescence. They're making the need for telephones. But we have more cell phones than people in the world. We're not talking in America, in the world.
Yeah. Well, you look at how many people go through a cell phone once a year, or they buy the disposable ones, use them and throw them away. They don't keep them for long periods of time.
Oh, the burners?
The burners.
Yeah.
So there is a lot. So take care of yourself, stay wrapped up, exposed skin.
Yeah. And if you are cold and you start to get hypothermic, you might start really shivering or get nauseated, not feeling good. You probably need to be seen.
What's the treatment for hypothermia?
Well, warm blankets, warm fluids. They may even give you IVs that are a little, warmer, but they'll pack you in warm stuff, give you warm fluids, and then treat those areas if there is frostbite. Hopefully, try to save those, those fingers, toes, tips of ears, from being lost.
What's the benefit of Vicks Vapor Rub?
Well, it sure feels good when mom's rubbing it all over your body when you're a kid.
It opens me up.
It does open people up.
It dilates.
Yeah.
Dilates.
It helps with stuffiness.
Yeah.
But when we use it too, like when I was a kid, it always made me feel better mostly because my mom was there rubbing my chest or, I'm sure the Vicks helped, but when I look back, my mom being there taking care of me was probably the bigger thing.
My mom would put us in a sweat box, put that, what is it? The humidifier.
Yeah.
Had a room up to about 107, and you got that, man. And this idea of
killing it off.
Can you sweat a cold out?
Yeah.
Or is that a myth?
You don't sweat it out. A virus has to run its course.
Mm-hmm.
However, when we do get an elevated body temperature, that's our body's natural way of trying to destroy the bacteria, the virus. That's when it comes. Yep. Raises inflammation, causes a temperature.
We got to fight.
I'm on my way.
We got to hold
Get back, virus.
I'm on my way.
Marching through your body like
they're there.
Let's go.
That's
and
why.
then they come in their little Pac-Man and they're eating up all the stuff that they can eat up and getting rid of it.
That's why you don't want to always take Tylenol to bring it down so quickly, because you do need it to reach a certain level so that your army can get in place.
They can get deployed.
So what I do with the Vicks Vapor Rub, I would I would boil me some water, and I would take the Vicks Vapor Rub. I would take the spoon of it and put it in the water and take me a towel
and put it over, steam yourself.
And I'm telling you, like an hour later, it's like everything's coming up.
Yeah, it's like a vapor. It loosens things up.
No, I'm smiling because just how quick you all are. Y'all took that military analogy, you just deployment and
people understand it in those terms, right? Little Pac-Man, deployment, and then when you get the chills, that's your body's way of raising your body temperature so that your body can get high enough to fight off the illness. So those, they don't feel good, but that's why you're getting those. It's those muscles are contracting real quickly to raise your body temperature.
And it's just, amazing how God created the body. I always say, because a lot of women call me when they are going through menopause and their cholesterol is going up. I always say, well, God knew we didn't need to be bothered with bad cholesterol and having babies.
And high blood pressure. Right. Mm-hmm.
And so he waited until we couldn't have babies no more. Because estrogen will decrease your cholesterol and also make your blood pressure a little normal, because it makes the blood vessels more pliable. Mm-hmm. But once you go through menopause, our cholesterol like doubles or get bad, and most of us start needing high blood pressure medicine.
Is there anything you can those are nice. Those
boots?
Yeah, they're Nikes, and I guess they help you recover.
Man, those are space
boots.
Remember Back to the Future? I think it was either 2 or 3 where he had the boots, and they actually came up with that technology. But that looks like that provides, what is it?
For the
compression?
Achilles?
Yeah.
Really? Man,
what's going on?
Yeah. If I see somebody with them shoes on, it's going to be a problem.
If they make you feel good, though.
Yeah, but you know how people would take something like that and they'll wear it as an outfit.
Well, hey, do what you got to do. You wear it publicly, you prepare for the public scorn and ridicule.
I've seen plenty of things on people I wouldn't wear.
Man, like the big red shoes that everybody was wearing. They was like the Ronald McDonald boots. I seen Carvey, man, but these boots is like $400-$500, and they look like Super Mario boots. Like
it wasn't like the
Luigi, it's some Mario.
The old Chucker boots, the desert boots back in the day, and with the powell in it, you could never tie them up. You'd never. It's just like, oh man. Now I'm gonna tell you though, kept your feet warm. Oh man, your feet be sweating in those bad boys, but you could never quite get them lined up. The tongue. To get it lined up.
Here they go. Steves.
Oh, yeah, Kirby wore those.
Yeah, they walking around with the cartoon boots. And they $400-$500.
Yeah, I've never seen them.
Why?
Yeah.
Why are they
I don't. I mean, but no clue why they so expensive.
Because they can sell them for that, so they do.
And they do. But people are buying, and they walk around, and it's like they so big. It's like running McDonald's feet. It's unbelievable.
Are they comfortable?
See how she laughed? See how she's seen it and laughed?
They do look waterproof, at least.
Yeah, but why would you want to wear something like this?
Is that hard to walk in?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
So why would you want?
Well, the same reason why would you own a pair of stacked heel shoes?
Oh, those stacks.
Yeah, but you was going out getting your
dude
with a little fish in them.
Yeah, with the little goldfish swimming around.
Dude, those and don't be out in the snow. Oh man! But whoever came up with the platformed stacked heel shoe for men,
They wore them.
Huh?
Those high-waisted polyester pants.
Oh, don't you be talking about? But some dude called in. There's Zanzibels. This dude said, "Dude, you have on your Zanzibels with a Z, Zanzibels, Z those high boys." Dude, get you a nice little purple shirt.
Oh man,
nylon.
That thing up.
Oh yeah, you got to have the disco, and then put a couple of gold chains on.
Yeah. It's over.
It's over. All right. Well, Julia, thank you. Brenda, thank you.
Stay warm.
Yes, it's cold out there.
211, call them.
Yeah. I have a trolley tour tonight. It's like a dinner tour where we leave one place and then we go to the Bridgewater for appetizers. We go to another place for the beginning meal, and then we're in the third ward for dinner. So I'm going to be on a trolley, so it better be warm. That's all I got to say.
I thought that was the pub crawl. Wow.
No, these are not going to pubs. They're going to very nice restaurants.
I think the one time I did the pub, I got to pub number 2. I was done.
You was drunk?
I was done. Before I could get to the other pubs, I was just.
No, we are going to different places to have a different part of the meal. Yeah.
Speaking of restaurants, real quick, whatever happened to Pieces of 8?
It's Harbor House.
It's a Harbor House now. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, my brother worked at Pieces of 8.
Man, that was my joint on Sundays, man.
No,
they
it was
still
actually
have a good on Sundays.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Their brunch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, they still in the same spot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Harbor House.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Julia, thank you. Brenda, thank you. Carvey, thank you. Jermaine, thank you. Where you going? We're not done yet. We're still on the air.
So I'm out of here.
Good Lord, Willow Creek don't rise. And Julia don't leave. She wants to talk to everybody tomorrow. Go for this place in peace. Storm and the rain.
Missed your favorite show? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Catch up on all the action anytime, anywhere. Just head over to our Facebook and YouTube pages to watch and listen to shows you like Say Something Real, Community Voice, Be a Voice, The Difference, Money Talks, The Midweek Flow, and so much more. Simply log on, sit back, and enjoy your favorite content on your time. That's right, never miss a moment.